Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Pointy Not Sharp. Today we're taking a look at an East German model of 1959 bayonet. Yes, it's another AK bayonet. I know I've done a lot of videos on them, but there's a few more coming. So this was made for the most German name ever. Machine Pistol Kalashnikov Modernized MPIKM. Just essentially the East German version of the AKM. And they got to the game a little bit late while Russia developed the AKM in 1959 and their version of this bayonet in 1959. East Germany didn't start production until 1965, and they continued production until 1978, so 13 years. And they replaced it with another version of this bayonet with a different scabbard, and then the Type 2 bayonet. I'll get to those in future videos. Now, I don't know who manufactured these, what company it was, if it was a state-owned plant or a private corporation under contract. If you know, comment below. I'd love to find out, but unfortunately I didn't find that information. Now, these do have like a number of different names in collectors' circles, but the correct name is the Model 1959. You'll also hear them referred to as AK Type 1s because they have the pure Bakelite handle with the big Bakelite bulb at the bottom. And you'll also hear them called 6x3s, which is the translation from Russian of what the Russians called their version, but it is pretty much a one-for-one copy of the Russian 6x3. So we'll jump into a little bit of history. Prior to the use of these bayonets and their version of the AKM, that giant wheelbarrow name of a rifle, they were using the the model 1947, which is the 6x2 bayonet. Now the original AKs weren't designed with a bayonet lug. They weren't designed to take a bayonet at all. So when a bayonet was added later, it was sort of had a weird attachment device, and I've explained that in my Bulgarian AK-47 video, or 6x2. The AKM was the first AK rifle where it was purpose-built with a bayonet lug, and they came up with a whole new system for bayonet as well. The first one with a wire cutter and sawback and insulated grips and all these kind of cool things. So these bayonets were in service for, well, pretty much all the way up until reunification between East and West Germany, and they probably weren't formally replaced until the G36 came in. So while these were in service, they had two later bayonets came in. They had a transitional version, which was this bayonet here with like a Bakelite or plastic scabbard, or the later version. And then they also had the Type 2, I can't remember the exact name, like the 78 or something like that, the Model 78. That's a version of this bayonet that has a steel pommel instead of the bulbous plasticky one back here. And some of those were even used and adapted for use with the G36 post reunification, before they got their act together, because you got to think, reunification between East and West, they've got a mix of G3s and AKs, and they just put it all together and made it work. Anyway, we'll jump into the construction of the bayonet. So, as you can see, we have these big, really glossy black grips. We've got our standard AK style of blade in stainless steel. So sharpened true edge, unsharpened false edge, sawback, and hole for our wire cutter. Moving down to the crossguard here is where it gets a little bit different from other 6x3 AK style bayonets. So other bayonets have this crosspiece painted black, whether here, I don't know how well you can see that, it's just been blued. And another difference is, if I can get my little strap off, little hook here for the strap, which is a really minute detail. It's more rounded, whether the other countries, particularly the Russian ones, are very sharp and flat-edged. I'll put that back on. Moving down to our grip, it's the same as all the others, all the other 6x3, so it's two molded pieces that are pinned together around a tang and around a device to attach to the bayonet lug. And then the pins are just like, have plastic put over them and sort of molded or melted in place. I'm not really sure how they do that. We have our strap here, and you'll notice it's a different color to what other countries use. So the East Germans used a grey green, and an olive green. And I think this one is a grey green. I can't really tell because it's a bit faded, so maybe it used to have more of a green or more of a grey to it. It's sort of a in between. I don't know what colour that is. But those are the three different colours you'll find with the East German bayonets, and this one's definitely correct for this bayonet. Moving down to the buckle, I know the Russian ones can be either like aluminium or black. These ones are all, they call it silver, but sort of like a aluminium, so you'll always find them in that colour. Moving down to our scabbard, it's just a classic 6x3 scabbard, so steel, wire cutter at one end, insulated rubber, and black. Very similar to the Polish ones, except the East German ones have their own markings on them, but I'll get to that in just a moment. And moving to the frog, this is very distinctly East German because it is grey. So whenever you come across these that is bright grey or like a really rich grey like this, it's always going to be East German. Now, the earlier versions of these frogs were nice and short, and the later versions for the Type 2 bayonets, I believe, are a little bit longer. I can't remember the exact length. The colour of these, they can come in two colours. So usually you see them in the grey like this, but you also find them with like the natural colour, sort of the tan leather colour, so not painted over the top. And finally, I think we'll jump into the markings. The German, there's not that many markings actually. Well, there's a couple, but they're a bit more minute and discreet. So to start with, we'll start with serial numbers. If you find a black AK bayonet with a serial number stamped across the handle and in the scabbard, it's not going to be East German, it's going to be Yugoslavian, an M70. The East Germans used electro pencil, as you can see here. And often you'll find it across the scabbard, but this one doesn't have a serial number on the scabbard that I've seen. So make of that what you will. So that's the serial number, and it's not 100% uniform where they're going to be. They can be sort of all over the place. Other markings you'll find inspection marks, and those will be letters within circles. So I've got one here on the cross guard. I had a bit of a look before. I couldn't find any more on the bayonet itself, but I did find two on the wire cutter down here on the scabbard. And another marking you'll find is just here, got a mold number on the rubber, 5998, with a dot on the end. I guess that's a great way to differentiate between East German and Polish, because the Polish also have the black rubber grip here. So if you get one of these and you're not sure which is which, but it has this mold number, it's going to be East German. If it doesn't, it's going to be Polish. Now, I really couldn't find a terrible lot of information on these. I've got, the best book for the job, but there wasn't a terrible lot of info in there regarding these. I don't think they saw a terrible lot of use, but pretty cool little bayonets, and you can pick them up really cheap. They're one of the cheaper AK variations. I missed out buying them here in Australia a couple of years ago. They were $45 a piece, which is absolutely nothing for Australia, down at Claremont Firearms online. I didn't get them because I thought, oh, they'll be there forever. They got pallets of them, and they sold out. So yeah, always buy them cheap when you have the opportunity. I'm going to follow this video up with two more at some point. So I want to do the transitional, which is this bayonet with the plastic scabbard, and the Type 2, I think it's like the model 78, whatever it is, I can't remember. So this is going to be like a 3-part series on East German AK bayonets, but that's really all I've got to say about them at this point. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I'll see you next time.